And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm taking a look at a game from Durkheim, a designer I like, called Speculations from Queen Game. Speculation, this is kind of a reprint of an older game. It's 2013 at this point, but it came out several years ago. It is a stock market game. It says 45 minutes. It says 6 players. Well, I played stock market games in my time, and they often don't take 45 minutes. They're often heavy affairs. This one promised to be something lighter. Is it? Is it fun? Let's look. So here's the board of speculation. Now there's 2 sides to the board. There's this side and the other side, which is also known as the not fun side. And that's not really true, but the other side has basically just, you get less money. The shares are worth less money, and so there's less money to go around. I prefer to play on more money. Speaking of money, huzzah! The money in this game is cards, and so double-sided cards, that's great. So much better than paper money, especially since you'll be using it so much over the course of the game. Now, there are 8 different companies in this game. Each of those companies has a token, and there are shares of the different companies which happen to be named after other games from Queen Games. And so, as the game progresses, these shares are going to be moving on this track on the board. So, at any given point, let's say these are where the shares are. There can never be more than 1 share on the same space. So let's say the shares look like this. Now, the value of a share, you can look here, so you'll see that this brown share is on the white track. So I look down here to see the value of it. The brown share is the farthest one of the 8 different shares, so it's worth $175. The green share is the second share, but instead of it being 150, I'm looking at the gray track here, so it's worth 110. And the share that's in last place, orange, I look on its track, and it's in 8th place, so it's 30. So it's pretty easy. Just count the position and then look at which track it's on, and the tracks change color. You can see that at the beginning, the highest share is worth 100. Share 5 is worth, share 6 is worth 50, and the last share is worth 30. While if you go to the final space, when it's the highest share is worth 325. It's a huge increase, while the last share is worth minus 60, and share 6 is 50. Share 6 is always 50, but the last place goes down as the game progresses, while the highest ones go up. Each player is going to get 9 cards, 1 for each share of the company, and 1 bank holiday card here. And they're going to take these cards, shuffle them, and draw a handful of 2. Now, if there's one component problem I have with the game, it's I feel like the game should have different backs for these, because you have to keep them separate at all times. Why not have a different back for each player color? I don't see why they all have the same back, but that's not a big deal. But anyway, on each, one player is chosen to go first, and that player is going to draw 2 tokens, 1 from one bag and 1 from another bag. The bags from one token are square, and the bags from another token are round, so we quickly got rid of one of the bags and put all the tokens in one bag and said, pull out a square and a round token. Now, as you pull these tokens from the bag, you're going to take the action on the token. But 3 of the tokens, the trading tokens from the square bag, whenever those are drawn after we take the action, we put all the tokens back in. So there's a 50% every turn that all the tokens go back in the bag. So you're going to draw one of these action tokens, and you're going to draw one of these number tokens. Now, the action token takes place by the person who drew it. There's this token here which says no action. There is this token and these tokens which allow you to change 1 share plus or minus 1. Now, when changing a share plus or minus 1, let's say I want to make the green share go up. Instead of making it just go up 1, you basically make it go up past the next share in line, which for the green share would be pretty strong. If I had chosen the yellow share, it simply would have gone here. If I say minus 1, then a share would go behind. So if I set the blue share here, then I would go all the way back behind the last one right behind it, behind red. While brown would come all the way here, behind yellow, but he can't land on green, so he goes behind green too. So those can be some wild swings. After he does that, Everybody then will look at the color share that they have played. Everyone will put a card face down and turn them up at the same time. So let's say I played orange, and then we look at the number tile, 4, so orange would go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, because I ignore all occupied spaces. So you can really catch up quickly, especially if there are shares in a line. And it's depending on the number that's played, and sometimes multiple people will play the same color. Now, if somebody or multiple people play the bank holiday card, if in a 3 to 4 player game, one person plays it, or in a 5 to 6 player, 2 players play it, a bank holiday card, then no one moves that turn. So you stop everyone from moving. In a 5 or 6 player game, if only one person plays it, then everybody moves, but they move half the value rather than their full value. So that's how the game works. But the biggest thing that will happen is that when these buying and selling things show up, each player can buy 1 share and or sell 1 share. The shares are over here, and there's only 5 of each. Players are going to start the game with 1 share that they have, because you'll need that to be able to sell and buy. And players will simply look at the prices on the board, and they can buy or sell in turn order. Everything is in turn order, so turn order is pretty important as this game progresses. And you will be buying and selling and getting money, and you can try to get as many shares as you can. Now, when 1 share hits the end space, the game is over. Now, it is possible, theoretically, that all 8 will hit the end on the same turn. I've seen a couple hit it. I've never seen all 8. Usually 1 share gets kind of lagging behind. And then at that point, you sell all your shares, you count the money that they are worth, and whoever has the most money is the winner of the game. Speculation is very enjoyable. I really had a good time playing this game. Now, as with real life, this game is valuable in that it teaches you the simple premise to buy low, sell high. If you want to do well in speculation, you will remember that. When a stock is at the top of its game, it is always, not always, but it's almost always in your best interest to sell it, not hold it and say, well, it's in one position now, but if it's in one position at the end of the game, it will likely switch positions. So sell those stocks. Buy the stocks when they're low. Of course, there comes a point during the game where they're so low and there's a chance that they won't catch up, that when you buy them, that's kind of throwing your money away. Although sometimes they're for free. You're like, oh, should I take it? Might be worth -10, but it might go up to 50 too, and then I'll make some money. It works so well, especially with a larger group of players. I mean, 4 is okay. I played with 4, I liked it. But with 5 and 6, the game really shines. I really had a good time. Everyone's laughing about how the shares move. The shares are bouncing all over the place. You're trying to figure out when's the best time to play your bank holiday to mess over other people. And at the same time, I'm not going to play my color share when I think someone else is going to play a bank holiday. And sometimes everyone plays the same color and one share just shoots up there. Really a cool game. And it's so easy to play. The only caveat that people might have is that you're like, oh, there's all these numbers all over the board. It looks like it's a complicated game, but it really isn't. Figure out what position it is, 1 through 8. Look at the thing, that's how much it's worth. And you have to try to gauge sometimes. If I buy this at this price now, where's it going to be next turn? You have a hand of 2 cards at all times, so you can look at your colors that you've played and say, okay, these are the colors. I'm going to be able to move this one next turn. So since I know I'm going to move it next turn, I'm going to I'm going to buy a stock of that color. But other people see that, and so I don't know. It's really entertaining. I wondered, and I sat around and I tried to figure out, what if you use dice instead of pulling the tiles from the bag? Because if there was any kind of fiddliness as passing that bag around, I mean, at least we put it into 1 bag. Passing 2 bags around is crazy. But you have to do it, the tiles. I couldn't figure out a way to do it because when you pull the trade tile, you put the tiles back in. So that +1 and -1 will show up a lot less. They don't show up 1/6 of the time. They show up less than that, and I couldn't figure out the percentages. Maybe a wiser person out there than I could. This is a game that's great fun. It is one of the lightest stock market games I've played, but also one of the best stock market games I've played. Sometimes lighter equals better. Great production values. It works with a large group, which is always an exceptional thing. So I highly recommend Speculation.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.